Nature doesn't always follow the rules we know, whether it's terrifying insect swarms or unbelievable phenomena. If these shocking and unpredictable nature events weren't caught on camera, no one would have believed it. Late July 2025 brought an unsettling scene to southern Ukraine. In provinces like Zaporizhzhia, enormous swarms of locusts poured through the skies, so dense they looked like dark, shifting clouds. Within minutes, farmlands were stripped bare, and the insects even pushed into the cities, covering streets and buildings in a moving blanket of wings. Farmers raced to protect what little was left, but the swarm's size made it almost impossible to fight back. Farmers are still in a race against time to contain what could become much worse for their crops. Eye of Fire. Well, this one looks scary, almost like the end of the times. But what is it? People called this unusual occurrence the Eye of Fire, which I think is quite precise but alarming at the same time. The spectacle gives quite a haunting appearance. This fire in the water was ignited due to a leak in an underwater pipeline, which led to the release of an unknown quantity of natural gas into the southern Gulf of Mexico. And shockingly, it has not yet been revealed how the leak happened, or when it began, or what types of hydrocarbons were released. This is only one of a long series of gas leaks and oil spills. Locust plagues.
The UN is appealing for more than $41 million to eliminate a severe plague of locusts in Madagascar. Half of the money is needed by June to try to save the country's crop production. Around half of Madagascar is currently infested, with each swarm made up of billions of insects.
Locust swarms are no longer just ancient tales. They're happening again, and they're bigger than ever. From Madagascar's 2013 crisis to massive waves in Russia, Bahrain, and across Africa and the Middle East, the insects have returned with frightening force. In 2019, one swarm in Bahrain grew so dense it stopped traffic, a moving black cloud that swallowed farmland and roads. By 2022, South Africa was facing its worst outbreak in 25 years, with millions of locusts tearing through tens of thousands of hectares. Scientists say the pattern is clear. Shifting weather, unstable rainfall, and altered migratory paths are creating perfect conditions for these insects to multiply quickly and travel far. But the Bible's book of Joel and the plagues of Moses describe the same sight: waves of locusts stripping fields bare in days. Unstable basin.
There weren't many thoughts at that point. Our tour guides just mentioned that something unusual was happening, and then when I pulled my phone up and started taking the video.
A hydrothermal explosion erupted at Black Diamond Pool in Yellowstone's Biscuit Basin on 31st May, 2025. It sent water and debris hundreds of feet in the air, which was all captured by a tourist. The timing was unsettling because just a year earlier, on July 23rd, a much larger eruption in the same spot had damaged a boardwalk and forced safety upgrades around the area. These events occur when trapped underground water suddenly turns into steam, releasing sudden energy. This latest incident was smaller, but the fact that it happened at the same pool again has left many wondering if Biscuit Basin is growing more unstable than anyone realized. Forest mysteriously rises. A man went into a forest with his dog on a monthly camping trip, but then the forest somewhere in Utah seemed to move. The trees lifted and swayed as if the ground below was alive, making it feel haunted. He felt the chill of something unseen trying to scare him away. Later, he realized it wasn't ghosts at all. Strong winds blowing through water-saturated ground made the trees move in that strange way. Nature had its own tricks, and it fooled him completely. Mysterious eruption. On November 11th, 2024, the quiet town of San Jose de Mulatos in Necoclí, Colombia, was shaken by a sudden mud volcano eruption. An inactive geyser suddenly became active, and a mud burst into the air, powerful enough to eject over 1,000 metric tons every second. Within moments, thick waves of mud spread across the land, eventually covering nearly 24 acres. Entire families had to evacuate, finding temporary shelter in a nearby school while humanitarian aid was rushed to them. This was very unexpected, as environmentalists and people living there had never experienced this. Since the geyser was supposed to be inactive, such an eruption caught everyone off guard, and they don't know what started the chain reaction. Rivers turn red. In 2025, strange red water events were reported around the world. First, the Nile turned red, terrifying viewers online. Soon after, a river in Peru's Quejesto region also ran deep crimson. And in Iran, red rain poured down a mountain. Experts explained that in Peru, rain washed iron-rich clay into the river, while in Iran, iron oxide caused the color. But priests and locals pointed out something more. These events reminded them of the Bible's story in Exodus, where the Nile turned red as a warning from God. So is history repeating itself, or is all of this purely the consequences of humans? Rising river. In 2021, people near a river in Haryana, India, filmed something strange. A large section of land under the water suddenly lifted, as if something huge was pushing up from below. For a few moments, it almost looked like a creature was emerging from the river. No one could explain it, and the brief, unexpected movement left everyone staring in disbelief. The river seemed alive for just a few seconds, and that moment stayed with everyone who saw it. Incredible phenomenon. High in the mountains of Tibet, a researcher recorded something the sky almost never shows. Instead of the usual white or blue flash during a storm, a huge red beam dropped from the clouds, like the sky released its own energy. The clip showed tall red and pink shapes stretching toward the ground, glowing for only a split second, but bright enough to light up the entire horizon. What he captured is known as a red sprite, a rare burst of plasma that forms way above thunderstorms. They're incredibly hard to see with the naked eye, and only last for a blink, which is why most people never even know they happened. But when they're caught on camera, they look unreal. Hell on Earth. In Saudi Arabia, a strange video went viral, showing flames erupting from a hole in the desert sand. People immediately wondered if it was something far stranger, like a doorway to hell opening. The fire seemed to rise from nowhere, the sand bubbling as if the ground itself was alive. Experts later clarified there was no volcanic activity. It was likely a natural gas leak or underground industrial work igniting. Even so, the sight left viewers shocked and amazed. Mysterious ball.
What is it? It's going for a long time. It's like a fireball, but not really. It's the wrong color.
During a storm near Rich Valley, Alberta, Canada Ed and Melinda Party captured a strange and compelling phenomenon on video. Around 7 p.m., lightning struck nearby, and shortly afterward, they noticed a glowing orb hovering about 20 feet above the ground. Ed described it as a bright orb of blue light, roughly 1 to 2 meters in diameter. They managed to record about 23 seconds of the orb slowly drifting before it vanished with a small pop. The sighting was so unusual that it immediately caught the attention of storm watchers and scientists alike. Experts who reviewed the video found it intriguing, calling the footage incredible and very strange. One of them said it could be ball lightning, but also said ball lightning is extremely rare, and the event could also be explained by other phenomena. Maybe perhaps an electric arc? What do you think about this?
After a rather vicious lightning strike, we saw the ball of fire kind of retain, 20 feet above the ground.
Moth takeover. A small town in France got a little surprise a few years ago. In Oyonnax, locals were shocked by the sudden invasion of thousands of moths around the town, mainly boxwood moths. They were literally everywhere, clinging to windows and swarming around streetlights. People thought maybe the town's streetlights were attracting them, but it's never been this bad before. What do you think was the reason behind this strange occurrence? And about Oyonnax, things there are pretty peaceful now. Earthly phenomenon. In southern Taiwan, locals were woken early when the Wandan mud volcano erupted once again. The ground cracked open in the middle of farmland near Huangyuan Temple on 26th June 2025, releasing thick streams of bubbling mud and methane gas. It started just after 5 in the morning and didn't stop until late in the afternoon, pouring out for nearly 11 hours straight. 4 separate vents opened up, spilling mud into nearby ditches. The village chief even had to call in a backhoe to clear the flow before it caused damage. This wasn't the first time either. The mud dome has erupted 10 times in just the past 3 years, with its last activity recorded in July 2024. Locals are so used to it that they even ignite the methane coming from the vents. The moment was captured on video by the temple's caretaker, the yellow building in the background. Blazing ocean. A tourist near Mocha Island, Chile filmed bright flames rising from the surface of the water. The clip looked unreal. It showed the ocean burning in the open air. Scientists stepped in to explain that methane can leak from the seafloor and ignite if it meets a spark, which does happen in a few places around the world. But the size of this flame caught people off guard, and it raised concerns about how unstable some parts of the ocean have become. Twisting swarm. Over in Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, the sky turned unsettling. Locals filmed thick, spiraling columns of mosquitoes rising into the air, so dense they seemed to completely block out the sun. The swarms moved fast, twisting into tornado-like shapes that swept across the coastline. For residents, it wasn't just disturbing to look at. These living pillars made it almost impossible to move around without being engulfed, and it lasted for 2 entire days. And one person managed to capture them during a sunset before they were last seen. Experts said the phenomenon was tied to the mosquito mating season, but for those standing beneath the sky-darkening vortex, it felt less like science and more like something out of an apocalyptic movie. Rare natural event. In one of Saudi Arabia's driest deserts, something unexpected appeared. Locals filmed clear streams flowing across the barren sand. Rainfall is almost non-existent here, and rivers rarely run, so seeing water moving across the dunes felt unreal. Online, people connected the site to religious verses about dry land bringing forth water. Scientists explained it as underground pressure or sudden rainfall, pushing hidden groundwater to the surface. Nature anomaly. A bizarre animal phenomenon took place in China on the 21st of August 2025, where millions of silkworms were found in the middle of the forest. What unsettled people wasn't just the sheer number, but the fact that they were found randomly in the wild. Silkworms are raised on farms in Southeast Asian countries like China for silk production and are not found in the wild, especially in such massive swarms. The local who captured the incident reported it to China Wildlife Conservation Association, who haven't been able to identify the reason behind this strange incident. Mysterious lights. Late one night in Vancouver, Canada, a man filming the night sky caught something strange. A single light moved across the sky, gliding silently for a few seconds, then disappeared completely, like someone had just switched it off. Witnesses online debated what it was. The movement didn't match anything man-made. Some think these could be surveillance crafts or scouts from somewhere far beyond Earth, quietly observing from above. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Woodland mystery. While walking through the forest, a hiker noticed a thin branch covered in a soft white fuzz, almost like cotton had settled on it. It looked magical, like something out of a fairy tale. But the truth is simpler. Tiny, woolly aphids cover themselves in waxy filaments while feeding on the tree's sap. Even so, seeing this delicate fuzz hugging the bark made the forest feel strangely alive. Eerie lights.
Oh my god, what is that?
One night in California, a family spotted bright lights flashing behind some old, abandoned buildings. The lights glowed in 3 different colors, painting the sky with an eerie shine. There was no sound, no movement, just the strange glow hovering in the night. The next day, no authorities reported anything, and no explanation came forward. Some thought it might have been a secret test, while others whispered about aliens. Whatever it was, the mystery stayed unsolved.
What is this?
Oh my god.
Virginia glowing skies.
Here it comes, here it comes.
On July 20, 2025, people in Virginia recorded the sky glowing in strange colors that kept flashing in a steady pattern. The lights stayed in one place for a long time, which made many residents think something unusual was sitting above the clouds. Officials later explained it as a rare weather event caused by light reflecting off high-altitude clouds, but the blinking didn't match normal atmospheric behavior. The footage spread quickly because the glow looked organized, not random, and no one could give a clear answer about what created it.
Here it comes.
Moving sky orbs. Across different cities in Canada, people filmed green and pink lights moving through the night sky. The orbs shifted in odd ways, sometimes drifting into the clouds and then reappearing above them a second later. They disappeared instantly, which made the footage even more confusing. Weather experts suggested it could be a type of aurora mixed with fast-moving cloud layers, but the sharp changes in direction didn't match normal sky behavior. With sightings happening in multiple cities at the same time, people started to think something else might be moving through the atmosphere. Strange clouds. In Cordoba, Argentina, right after a massive thunderstorm, the sky looked unusual. Instead of smooth clouds, the bottom sagged into heavy, bulging pouches hanging low over the land. It looked unnatural, like the clouds were filled with something. Scientists later identified this as mammatus clouds, formed when strong, sinking air inside storm clouds creates these bubble-like shapes. Locals weren't so sure. In some traditions, these clouds were seen as omens, signaling big challenges or blessings, moving quietly above the earth. Mysterious sounds.
Is the end actually near, meaning end of the world? Multiple videos of horn sounds coming from the skies around the world over the last few years have gone viral, leaving us wondering.
Residents in Sydney, Australia, were startled when strange trumpet noises rolled across the city. Not long after, people in Brooklyn reported low, humming sounds that seemed to come from the clouds themselves. The noise was loud, constant, and impossible to ignore.
What does it sound?
Videos quickly spread online, showing terrified witnesses pointing at the sky. Some religious leaders linked the sounds to passages in Revelation, suggesting these horns were a warning. Whether science or something else, it felt like the sky itself was trying to send a message, one that left a lasting unease. Considering those red rivers, trumpet sounds are also linked with the end of days. Falling asteroid. A massive, glowing object lit up the night sky like a sudden burst of sunlight. Locals ran outside with phones to film it, some convinced it was something falling straight from the heavens. Scientists later confirmed it was a newly discovered asteroid. NASA had tracked it carefully and knew it would burn up in the atmosphere, turning to dust far above the ground. Even with the explanation, many viewers connected it to stories of fire raining from the sky, a small reminder of the biblical warnings. Don't stare at it.
Whoa.
At a busy beach, visitors were ready for a sunny, ordinary day. Then the sky began to dim, like someone had slowly turned down a giant light switch. Suddenly, the moon slid in front of the sun. Day turned to night for a brief moment, and the sun's corona appeared, a glowing ring of light perfectly framed in the sky. Everyone watching realized they were witnessing a rare solar eclipse, a spectacle that might not happen again in their lifetime. Blooming desert. In Chile's Atacama Desert, something incredible happened. The dry, barren land suddenly burst with color as thousands of flowers appeared overnight, carpeting the sand in bright, vivid hues. This rare event, called Desierto Florido, or the Flowering Desert, happens when seeds that have lain dormant for years awaken after rare rainfall. Tourists filming the scene couldn't believe their eyes. It was as if the desert had been keeping a secret, revealing it only once in a lifetime. Morning meteor.
A blazing fireball has lit up the early morning sky, caught on camera in Perth and right across WA. Experts now searching to find out if or where the meteor landed.
Early one morning in Perth, Australia, security cameras caught a blazing fireball streaking across the sky. It glowed bright green and orange as it raced toward Earth, leaving everyone watching in awe. Experts say it was likely a small meteor, maybe the size of a cricket ball or basketball, moving incredibly fast. Some suggested it could have been space debris, but for the people on the ground, none of that mattered. It was a rare, unforgettable moment lighting up the sky.
Oh, look, meteor.
Crimson moon.
Hey there, good morning you guys. Yeah, not only were we getting those photos from that association, we also got them from our viewers. Melissa Gessner sent us the full blood warm moon. You can see it in partial eclipse there, and then the total eclipse right there with that red copperish color. We also have video that we can show you of the event overnight. I mean, just a stunning sight to behold, right? Now, the other day, Betty had mentioned, well, we're going to step outside and it's just going to be completely dark.
Back in March of this year, that month brought a rare blood moon over South Florida. The moon glowed deep red, almost like molten copper, drawing people outside with cameras and phones. Scientists explained that the color comes from sunlight bending through Earth's atmosphere, similar to why sunsets appear red. Still, some viewers connected it to ancient predictions, calling it a warning or celestial signal. Whatever the reason, the fiery moon captured attention across the U.S., leaving a lasting impression in the night sky. Singing sand. Like those in the Atlantic Sahara of Morocco, occasionally release a deep, low rumble. This tune can last for 15 minutes, sometimes even more, and can be heard up to 6 miles or 10 kilometers away. People have reported this strange sound for centuries. Even Marco Polo mentioned it in the 13th century, saying these were evil desert spirits. Researchers, including Bruno Andreotti from the University of Paris, studied these singing sands closely. The sound happens when sand piles at the top of a dune and reaches a steep angle, around 35 degrees. Then, a small avalanche occurs, and the sliding grains produce the rumbling noise. The sand needs to be dry, and for smaller dunes, the conditions also require heat and still air. But the mystery is not completely solved. It is not known why the sliding of glass beads is silent, while some rougher sand grains belt out a tune. Gate to Hell. In the town of Sheregesh in Russia, a massive crater suddenly opened in the ground, right above an old iron ore mine. Locals even called it a gate to hell. In the video, you can even see a house quite close to the edge of the smoking pit. Since the house was empty and the area had already been evacuated, everyone was fine. Authorities quickly blocked the roads and suspended transport. Experts later explained that the heavy mining activity near the area had made the ground unstable, which might have caused this sinkhole. Cloud Demon. During a thunderstorm in Istanbul, Turkey, a video captured something terrifying in the sky. Thick, dark clouds covered the city, but a section of lighter clouds formed a humanoid face. It had a broad forehead, deep eye sockets, a visible nose, and a chin like a demon staring down. People who saw it were spooked, thinking it might be a warning of something bad. Scientists explained that storms can create cloud shapes that trick the eye, but for everyone who watched the video, the face felt real, haunting, and impossible to ignore. Blazing sky. A driver on the highway caught an incredible sunset. The sky was filled with thousands of small clouds, glowing deep orange, fiery red, and gold, stretching endlessly above the road like a giant blanket on fire. The colors were so bright, it almost didn't feel real. Some people whispered it was a warning from the skies. Others wondered if it was a sign of something bigger. Whatever it was, anyone who saw it won't forget the burning sky. Falling cloud. In Brazil, a photographer filmed a massive cloud stretching down like a giant teardrop. It glowed deep red and orange, and the center looked dense, like something was falling from the sky, cutting through the calm air. Some thought it was a warning or a sign of change. Others whispered it might be a mysterious force descending from above. Either way, the sky that day didn't feel ordinary, leaving everyone who saw it stunned. Himalayan gush. On the bank of a river in northern India, something strange happened. A strong jet of cold water and white vapor suddenly shot out of a crack in the rock, making a loud hissing and roaring sound. People nearby were shocked. Scientists might explain it as underground pressure or melting ice, but for those watching, it felt like the mountains themselves were alive, powerful and restless. Even the quietest peaks can hide forces beyond human control. Misty ring.
Oh, look at the smoke.
A couple was driving down a quiet road in California when a dark, misty ring appeared right in front of them. It hovered slowly above their car, almost like it was studying them from the sky. They thought it might even be some kind of extraterrestrial portal forming overhead. Some people online called it a smoke ring, but after checking the area, there were no signs of a transformer blast or anything that could create one. The strange shape simply floated there for a moment, then faded away, leaving behind a mystery that felt impossible to explain. What do you think? Kindly share your thoughts with me in the comments section below.
Dude, that's some fucking alien shit.
Subscribers pick of the day. On February 14th, 2024, residents in Pune, India, were stunned by a strange sight along the Mula Mutha River, from Mundwa Bridge to Karadi Gavthan. Rising water levels had created unusual conditions, and suddenly, swarms of tiny flying insects began swirling in a vortex above the river. People called it a mosquito tornado, worried it might be dangerous. In reality, the twisting cloud was made up of non-biting midge flies, not mosquitoes. Scientists explained that polluted, stagnant water in the river created the perfect conditions for these insects to gather and spin together. Locals later called them bugnados, and while harmless, seeing a whirlwind of thousands of tiny flies hovering above the river was enough to startle anyone and ruin their Valentine's Day for sure.